Welcome to Cardboard Alchemist.
What's up, guys?
I am your host, Giovanni, aka Josh, or the other way
I'm your
around.
co-host, Sebastian, aka the Poke Cleaning Shop.
The
How are you
Poker
doing today,
Cleaning
man?
Shop. Let's go. I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good. Of course, the everyday thing of working. Tired, but I'm never tired to talk about this stuff. So,
Yeah. Today's the day. We're gonna talk about something. That's. Can you guess what we're?
oh Jesus Christ,
What do you think we're gonna talk about, Sebastian?
we'll be talking about the good old question: how do you flatten cards?
How do you flatten? The age-old question, right? There's ways to do it right. There's ways to do it wrong. In the page, we're going to be talking about some super advanced tips, but here in the YouTube, we're going to be just going over, some of the basics, what you need to look for. We've even gotten some examples here, some flattenings we did overnight. So, super excited for today's episode. In the episode, we talk about this Charizard that I flattened overnight last night, and we are going to do a giveaway for our Patreon members. We're giving away this base set Charizard. It's actually really nice too. It's not ganked up at all. Beautiful, beautiful Charizard. And Sebastian's got awesome runner-up second place as well.
For second place, we're gonna be giving away this Charizard. It's not as good as Josh's, but it is. It's for you guys, so you guys could work on. And got this pretty good at the card show. So it's clean, but the only thing it has is you can see that right there.
That's beautiful, though. I've never seen that Charizard before. That's
never
really
seen
cool.
it. It's a promo. It's the promo ones from back in X and Y. There's the Pikachu one. There's the only two that I need left is just Blastoise and Venusaur, because I already have the Charizard and the Pikachu.
Hell yeah.
They're going up for a good penny right now. So with this card is gonna be a project card. If you guys win second place, you can work on this card yourself.
Hell yeah.
And then I would love for you guys to post this and see what you guys can do with this card.
Yeah, that would be cool. Heck yeah. So, flattening is one of those things that I think over the last few years there's been a lot of like additions on top of it, and it's kind of grown over time. And even we talked about in our last episode about humidors. I run my humidors high, so I kind of leave them in less. A little more risky if you forget them in there, but it kind of is personal preference on that side. And same with the flattening, right? Like the types of plates people use. The traditional one are these round ones, right? Like everybody's seen these. Ones. And there's nothing wrong with these. However, I have started to move towards the rectangle ones.
Yeah, because I love those, man. Those are the best ones that I use.
Take a guess why I moved to these.
Because you can use two. I mean, for me, this is why I use those. I can flatten two cards at once with those type of rectangle ones.
Yeah, you're talking about the large rectangle ones, though, right?
I have the exact same ones there too that you have right there, same size.
Oh yeah, you're right. You can fit two of them.
Yeah.
I usually just do it like this, but that's not a bad idea. See?
I've flattened out cards like that pretty well, and especially if I'm doing let's say if I'm doing a large order of a person's cards, and let's say I have 4 of them, I could put 2 there and then 2 in another one that I have, so I can flatten them for like 2 days, and it works pretty good. Yeah. It works really good.
Yeah. Now, so with these here's the deal. Like when you're flattening, the key is allowing the moisture to get out, because when you humidify the card, at that point, it's got water in it. You have an example of a card that has a ton of moisture in it right now,
so
right?
This is how the card looks like when it has a lot of moisture, guys. It curls up into this type of U, and it's very you can move it around. This is you can move it literally like. Yeah, malleable. Look how easy it is to move.
Yeah. And
don't worry, this card is cooked, by the way, so it's just an example.
Yeah, and I mean, when you have a dry card, it starts to bend the other way. So an example of this Clefairy base set, I flattened it. I abused this card. I think first I Humidity stormed, and then I tried to fix some creases on it. This is like an experiment card, but the mistake I made is when I took it out of the humidor, instead of flattening it, I just left it on the desk. Or actually, it may have been the other way around. But anyway, leaving it out, it just completely dried out. Plus, it's Vegas, right? It's super dry here. So
Yeah.
this card just got cooked. It's funny, someone hit me up. They're a big seller on eBay. They have a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of these cards, like a bunch of French base set, like super expensive cards, but they were at flood damage. So
Damn, flood damage.
yeah, and so
Jesus.
again, like if a bunch of moisture gets in there and then you don't let it dry flat, then that's
They
when
start
it starts to
curling.
curve. So that's what these plates are for. You're basically retraining those paper fibers as the card's sitting in there drying. It's not the act of just spushing it like this. Everybody, the age old thing of put a bunch of books, stack a bunch of books, and leave the card there to flatten it
Yeah.
doesn't work. You
I've been
need
seeing stuff like
moisture.
that. A lot of people, I mean, of course, if you search up on YouTube too, how to flatten cards or Pokemon cards, a lot. I've been seeing a lot of people use books, especially like those heavy scientific books, and they just put it in between those things and just close it and leave it there for like a week.
Doesn't work though.
It doesn't. Yeah, I tried
Unless
it.
unless you humidify it first, right?
Yeah,
Like that
exactly.
might actually work maybe if you humidify it. And in fact, the paper inside the book might act as a good like suction, like the blotter
Yeah, the
paper I
blotter paper.
use, right?
Yeah.
So the key is to dry it right. And so one of the things that you have to take into consideration is the type of vices that you're using to hold the card in place. And there are various reasons I have for using different ones. So I'm just curious, like, when do you use like these small ones versus like these ones?
So with the smaller ones, I usually use them when I'm usually doing the humidity storm. Like, so it won't like clamp them down too hard because you don't want to do that because you can cause the card to warp. It was an experiment that I was doing too when I was testing which ones to use. When I was using the stronger vices, the card did have like a weird kind of curve to it too. So that's why I start using those small ones. But you can actually use these vices, but as long as you don't put too much pressure on them, like just like the slightest thing, not too much, it will still work as a smaller vice, like the smaller clamps. This one, and
Yeah.
I think, and you used them in your video too when you would do humidity storm, I believe, in one of your videos, an old one.
Yeah, so that's exactly when I use those small ones, is exactly what you said, when I'm humidity storming. So spraying the pads, using something like parchment or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you don't, at this point, you're not flattening it. You're not trying to get a crease out or an indent out or whatever. You're just trying to get the card soaked, right?
Yeah.
To make the card easier to work on. This just allows the card to kind of like breathe a little bit and soak in that moisture. So, I'll usually throw 4 of them on like that. And what's cool about these ones actually is I like to
Stand them up.
stand it up on the desk like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw you do that in your last video too.
Yeah, I can't take full credit. I think I saw Rocket Collects or Salvo do that from Captain Jack Parrott on IG. But I actually like the idea of doing this for drawing. In fact, with these, when I finally screw them down, I actually sit them like this. That way the humidity can kind of escape out this way. Because I feel like if you leave it flat like this, natural evaporation, like clouds are up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So letting that moisture get out, like if you sit it like this, to me, I'm not a scientist, but feels like it will get out quicker.
Yeah, of course. So, out of those small ones, like, do you have any other ones that are different pressure? Because I have these, and I also have these. I don't know if you've seen these, but these have a little bit more pressure. So I use these, and I think I have an example. So this is the cart that we're going to be showing off today. But Josh is going to show it in the video. So I have different ones here, like different ones.
Let's go.
So
Yeah.
I got the big ones. This ones I used to flatten out the ends and the corners or the edges. This one, all these 4 are basically flattening out a line that we're going to show what it has right now and in the video. And these is just for support, as in like, oh, we're going to do that as well. Like just flatten that out.
That plate is huge.
Yeah, this is a huge one. I can fit like 4 cards or 5 cards in this one to flatten.
Yeah.
So I moved on to these.
I like your idea though, because like if you put the card in like sideways, there's very little real estate, which means it's good because the moisture can get out easier, right?
Yeah.
So how you didn't flatten it in the middle of that huge plate. It kind of was right on the edge,
And the
which
edge, yeah.
is kind of. But the other way might be. I'd be curious if that card dries out in a weird way, where that side of the card is dry and that card, the
other
side of
side
the
is
card's
still
still
damp.
wet. You may want to flip it.
I haven't had any problems with that. I'll usually leave it there for like 2 to 3 days. Like that's like the max I leave it, and it's completely flat. And I mean, if I notice that it's still a little like damp, then that's when I put it in the blotter paper to rest for like a day or two.
Yeah. And the one thing about the whole like humidity storm or even using the humidor over a bunch of time is like crocodile skin. I've heard what other names have we
Yeah, I think I just heard crocodile skin, and that's mostly it. And I heard the term crocodile skin from you.
so I heard I think it was reptile skin or like
Reptile skin,
scale
yeah.
or something like that. But I'll talk a little bit about this Charizard here and why I flattened it. So I first of all I wanted to give a good card to our friends in the page, but
Of course, yeah.
I saw with this card it didn't really exhibit any issues other than like a decent amount of crocodile skin on the back, and it had like wasn't I wouldn't even say this was like an excessive bend. Let me show you some pictures of last night that I took right before I did all of this. So here we have the Charizard before, and you can see it has like a natural, what I call a natural bend. A lot of the WotC era of cards had this natural bend. In fact, I used to use this to my advantage when I was a kid. Before we knew about weighing packs, by the way, but when I was a kid, I would grab a pack of Pokemon cards and I would feel the top edge and I would feel in between the cards because there would be a gap. If there's a hollow in there, this hollow being curved, you could feel a gap in between the middle of the cards, and you would know that there's a hollow.
Look at you now. Like when I go shopping for vintage, I don't know what to look for. Dude, it's the same thing. It's the same thing with when you pulled that Raichu. Remember when you pulled out the cards from the pack, and there was like a curved.
Yeah,
exactly
you're
the same
right.
Thing.
Yeah, because I showed the side, and I was like, "There's a hollow in here, right?"
Yeah.
Yeah, but now you can weigh packs. But that might be like an additional thing you can do. But good luck getting a vendor to be like, "Can I squeeze your pack?" Like they'll probably be like,
they're gonna be like, "Look at this guy squeezy packs."
But see how much crocodile skin was on here? Like you can just see that graininess, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just was a little excessive, and I think it's just partly the way that the card was stored, right? Could be just like heat, like maybe switching temperatures too much.
Yeah, that could happen.
Humidity sitting in a binder, who knows, right? So what I did is I stuck it in the humidor here. I think my humidor is running around 80. Yeah, so it wasn't as bad. Right now it's sitting at 90. I feel like it changes depending on the time of the day.
Yeah, it changes, and also if you open it to put a card, it does also go down or go high. Right now,
that might be
like around 90. I have mine at 92.
Yeah, that might be it. Like, I popped it open right before, but it's showing 90 right now, so it probably was around 90. I left it in there for maybe, let's say, like 30 minutes or something like that. So I'm gonna pop it open right now. Let's kind of take a look real quick to see how this did. So I sell these screw down flatteners on my website. I like these. Actually, what's funny is my dad was like, "Hey, I don't know all of what you do, but you know," he's like, back in my day, sort of thing, we used to use these, and he had one sitting on his desk, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Like, let me pick one up." And what I like about these is I have those magnetic flatteners too, but they don't give enough pressure. But what people like about the magnetic flatteners is make great display pieces, right?
Yeah.
Like if you just want to show your card off. This does the same thing, but it actually has UV protection on top of it, which I've seen some UV card, like if the card's sitting in front of a window or something like that, can get cooked over time. So I'm surprised like PSA and all them don't use like UV
Under
slabs.
slabs. Yeah, they need to.
Cheapos, because I've seen like PSA 8s or 9s that are just like completely sun worn.
Yeah.
And you know it because even the label is like faded, you know. So just I would save it for the page, but you know what? I'll give our special YouTube listeners like a little advanced tip here. Is like again, I said letting the card breathe. So every now and then I like to unscrew these, like, you know, let's say every few hours or whenever I have the opportunity. It can be like a day later, just kind of unscrewing it a little bit, and that gives it just a little bit of a gap here, right? That just lets the card kind of like take some fresh air in, sort of thing. And it's the same thing like when you're flattening a card in the plates. Well, when you have it in the plates and you have all these, you know, giant things sticking on it and all these vices, you want to move them around every now and then. You know, keeping the card just stuck like that, you could have an issue where the card is not able to get in like fresh air and dry properly. So
Yeah, because that can cause either the card to warp because you have to move them all around so they won't warp, or like the pressure can be even.
yeah, and I forgot who said this, but like having the location of these matter too, right?
Yeah.
Like so, having them on the edge like this, probably not unless there was like a lifted edge here on this specific card. I would say that it's better off actually getting the vices over the card. So, for an example of this, I would actually venture to say, like lining it up like that is better than having it on the edge. And I'll talk about that right now on why I think that is because, um, in fact, you know what? No, so let me. I'll share something with the YouTube folks. The YouTube is eating today because there was a whole bunch of stuff I was going to save for the page, but we'll go ahead and show this. So I'm gonna just take a look at this. So somebody sent me this.
I saw that it was pressed and it was altered because
So
of that
this,
pressed.
yeah, and how this can happen is if you press these corners too hard. So if someone press this and like use something crazy, I'll talk a little bit more in the page how you can make this mistake actually. So get in the page, I'll show you exactly how this mistake was made. But little warning here that pressing is one of the more dangerous things that can be considered altering in graders' eyes. So the other video I want to pull up is the one that you have here. So let's go ahead and play it, and you can narrate it. What's going on here?
So with this one, so with this Espion, I'm showing the whole card. I'm showing everything, and then be in the back, you're gonna see this weird indentation line right on top. You can see it right there. So I'm not too sure what that actually is, but do you know what that what the type of crease is? Like, is it an indent? Is it a lift indent? Oh, and then I'm showing you where it's dirty too. But everything else, the whole card is actually pretty clean. It's just the only problem that we have is just that top part.
I would say it looks like an indent to me. I think a crease is a little bit more like on the
wrinkling
lines
and stuff.
Yeah, like in the example of this card, which we'll fix in the page, like that is a crease. But that where you have a line across almost looks like that's more of an indent to me.
Yeah. So right now I'm gonna take it out of the vise because I have had it there for like maybe a day and a half, maybe 2 days. So we're gonna take it out to see how it looks. You're gonna hear a lot of popping right now, but let me just open my little storage door right here.
And while you're doing that, I'll get the Charizard out that we're going to give away. So if you want to get into this giveaway, go to PokemasterCenter.com/giveaway. You can see all the details there. And if you're a Patreon member, you get 1,000 free entries. So jump in the page, and that increases your chances of winning dramatically.
Let's see how this looks now. Let's go. Let's freaking go. You're gonna
Does
see
it
it
look
right
good?
now here. Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna love it.
Hell yeah. Let's.
Let me see. Where is the? I need to have this here. There you go. We'll just edit that out of me ducking down.
No,
So you
you're
see that,
good.
right?
Let's see that. Focus. Oh my gosh, it's gone.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's how you guys do it, you know? And of course, the only thing I've been doing exactly what you've been telling me to do. Instead of doing it the whole card of what's it called? A freaking the humidity
Humidity
storm.
storm.
Yeah, I only do it on the specific area where I wanted to affect it more.
Mm.
Instead of doing the whole card, and there's no crocodile skin at all either.
Yeah, that's the beauty of like targeting. Targeting the humidity is you don't have to deal with the that crap. You know.
So yeah, guys, look at that. Let me just lower down the brightness. Maybe they'll see it better.
Oh, that looks
There you
amazing.
go.
That
You
looks
guys don't
really
see the
good.
line anymore.
Yeah, it just went from
That's
a
how we
that
do
went
it
from a
here.
that went from a 6 to a 10 right there.
And there's no whitening at all too, so it's definitely a 10.
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Man, this is with the SPN. This is one card out of the 3 that I fixed up.
Hell
And
yeah.
then I'll let the client know too that we're showing it on the YouTube. And then I'm gonna put this in. And also after I like doing that, hold on, let me just focus on myself now. Perfect. And after doing that type of stuff, you know, of course, after flattening, I like to put in a top loader. And Josh gave me this good, you know, gave me this because of course with the top loader, this is how it's gonna start looking. Look at that.
Yeah.
And it dries
Well,
out the card too.
the drying out is the most important part again.
Yeah,
Like
look at
it's yeah, that looks good. Because if you stick it straight into a card saver, that moisture gets trapped and then it
Yeah.
can ruin the card. I've had that with the submission happen. So take a. I just pulled this Charizard out, but that
Dude, that
back
looks
looks
good.
it looks pretty good. I would say it could use one more, but it looks way better. That grainy look is pretty natural for WotC cards,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna ask that too. Like, you know, I've noticed that on a lot of WotC cards that they have that like grain to it because of the actual material that they're using back in the days.
yeah. But that wrinkle kind of look is now gone, which is
Oh
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then also it actually flattened out pretty good too because it was had like that natural curve. Does it still have that natural curve or?
Well, so check it out. I was going to talk
Let's
about
see.
this because look the
Oh, I see.
card's starting to do this, right?
Yeah.
So when I put it in here, I put like a vise on it, not that one, but one that we're going to show on the page, to really try to push down and get that out. But in this case, it's not the end of the world. Like even though it's kind of dried out in a little bit of a weird way, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it right back into the humidor. And then when I take it out of the humidor, put it in there for 30 minutes or something, I'm going to start to manually kind of massage the card. So I'm just trying to train the paper fibers of how it should sit. And then instead of putting it back in here, I'll just put it into the normal flatteners, just light, and just let it dry that way. And this will slowly go away.
Yeah.
But where you can make a mistake, again, is if you're putting too much pressure. In the case of this like first edition Mewtwo, you can see on this one it has like a weird kind of almost like wavy look to the bend. Like
you guys
it's
can see that
almost
right there.
pushed down right here. Reason being is because I used a lot of pressure and it was uneven. So basically, instead of having like if you use a lot of pressure and you're kind of using it even, it's probably okay. Where things get dangerous though is if you're at the edge of a card, because then you start to smush down those edges. So again, I'll talk about it more in the page on how you can make that mistake and how you could possibly run into the altering, flag that you might get from doing this. And I've also got something special, some other like alternative like tools you could use for flattening as well. But I want to talk about something like super simple that people can do. This doesn't even really require like an entire setup for flattening, but on this card here, we've got this issue where this edge right here is slightly lifted. So probably easier to see on the front. There we go. See that little nick right
Yeah.
there? A lot of people message me on Instagram like, "Hey, am I SOL? What is this gonna get?" It's definitely not gonna 10. You
Yeah.
know, you might be even looking at a 7 or something for having something like that.
Or maybe luck enough an 8.
Yeah, you might eke out an 8 or even a 9, but I have had 9s with this, but like it was more on this part rather than the
Mm-hmm.
corner. I feel like corners they're a little bit more stringent
Strict.
on than edges, just because it's like the edge, it's like the corner of the card, so your
Yeah.
eyes kind of gravitate towards that a little bit more. Which is why I think they let whitening go sometimes on these sides
On the
versus
edges.
like yeah
That's
on the
interesting.
corners. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you something real quick that you guys can do at home. If you're going to submit modern cards and stuff like that, just put it into a penny sleeve. And let me flip this guy around real quick and I'll show you. Simple thing you can do. You don't even really even need the card tool per se. You could do this with you know, I don't know, like probably a butter knife or something like that too. It doesn't even have to be this tool. But you need a flat surface. One mistake I made in the past was using like a cushioned surface like this and pushing down and then just wreck the card. The other one was using a textured surface. So this right here, there's like this kind of weird textured mat I had, and I was using that and pushing down on it, and it like left that same texture on the back
Oh
of the card,
no.
which was crazy.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Because when I was doing my Shining Gyarados a long time ago, when I was learning of like flattening the edges, I noticed that my Shining Gyarados has a little like just a little bit pressed because of the actual mat that I was using.
Yeah. So here on this corner, let me get it showing here. We're gonna fix this corner right here, and what there's a couple of things you can do. You can do a dry, which is fine, but you can also just take like a straw
The straw, yeah, perfect thing to do.
and just slide it right into that corner right there. And instead of using a whole humidor and all that crap, we're just going to blow air right into that. So just kind of that deep air from your lungs and try to get that hot air onto that corner.
And remember, guys, blow slowly too, because the mistake that I did when I was learning how to use the straw is I blew too hard and I got saliva all over the card.
You can see there's some condensation a little bit from
Yeah.
there too, but now immediately start working on it. Again, I'm not using the tip of it. I'm just kind of using this flat part right here.
And then with that, do you do like firm pressure, or do you do a little bit of how do you do that?
It's not soft, but it's not Hulk Hogan. It's just kind of in between.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I'm dating myself by saying that. Yeah, was it John Cena nowadays? These kids are into.
Yeah, John Cena. You can't see me.
Okay. Now, when I pull it out, we can take a look, and it should look a little bit better. It may, in certain cases, you may need like an actual flattening treatment, but in this case, it actually fixed it. Yeah, it's gone.
Major difference right there.
Yeah, but I have had issues. Like I had an SIR Charizard that had it on this edge, and even after doing this, it didn't work. But after humidifying it and flattening it, then it went away.
Yeah, so I've noticed that with some cards too. It just really depends, like how you said, it really depends on the card. I guess of the era too. That sometimes it will be a little bit more. The card will be a little bit more trickier to bring down the dents and stuff, or any type of lifts.
Yeah, I mean, there's the heat pen too, which you were talking about using it like in a like without humidity, just kind of like in those cases, right? And it working.
Yeah, I was doing that too with some cards. So, if it's like very minor, like little lifts in the edges and stuff, you can flatten that out easily with vinyl and with the heat pen. But remember, you still need to be careful with the heat pen. Don't overdo it because you can burn it. You can burn the card, or it'll have a different type of shade of color.
Yeah, you gotta practice. That was like one of the most advanced tools.
Yeah, you need to master it. It took me, I would say, a couple weeks so I could finally. I burnt a lot of test cards until I got it perfected.
Yeah, and you need to know what creases are fixable versus not, because like
Yeah.
some people just keep pushing it, and it's like, dude, that crease is toast. Like, in fact, I'll talk a little bit about like the creases you can and can't in the page. So, um, I just want to like maybe cover one last thing is this, which is a different type of thing you can deal with. So we've talked about lifted edges. We talked about creases. These tiny creases are beautiful, by the way. Love fixing these. These
Oh
are a
yeah.
lot of fun. And then we also talked about crocodile skin. But another type of damage that you can deal with is indents. This card is crazy. I've been just kind of picking up like cards that I've not fixed on the. In fact, I've been passing up cards that I've already fixed, like
Hmm.
at card shows and stuff, just because I don't want like repetitive content. I want different cards. And
Yeah, of course.
in fact, I looked at a Black Lotus.
Oh, dude, those are expensive. Wait,
The
from Alpha or
no, not the
Beta?
alpha, because I saw alpha and I'm like,
Dude, those are
sheesh, they're
expensive. I
20
mean,
grand. Yeah,
for Raw,
even
because
yeah,
I think
that's what
yeah, Raw's 20 grand. I think for a 10, it's like over like a million or even more.
Yeah, I saw the 30th anniversary one. There's like a collector's edition version
Oh
of
yeah,
it.
yeah, I've seen that one.
Even that one is like $2,000 or $3,000.
It's a Black Lotus. You know,
I
it's a staple, man.
I think
um,
I think
it got banned, but it's a
yeah, it said
staple.
not tournament legal on
Yeah,
TCG
though that
Player.
card is banned because with that card, Black Lotus, once you sacrifice it, because it costs 0 mana, you can just play it out of your deck, just right there, and you can get 3 mana. It can help you bring out creatures, and
Hell
it thinks
yeah.
faster. It could just start the game faster.
That's a even in base set Pokemon, computer search was like an OG card because or an OP card because like
Hmm.
it allowed you to search your deck for like I think 3 cards or something like that. And there was this hack with Electabuzz, like broken game mechanics with, but it was like a brand new game. So same
Yeah.
thing with that Black Lotus. They like just were like, oh, let's make this card. And nowadays they have like game theory, and they probably run simulations like with the new Pocket, Pokemon Pocket. I'm sure
Yeah.
the game balance is
Hmm.
more controlled.
There's an actual website where you can build and test decks. Like you can build them. I think you could also do Pokemon there too, but it's mostly mainly Magic. It's called Moxfield. I don't know if you've heard it.
Like run simulations on the deck, you mean,
Yeah.
and like see,
Yeah,
oh,
you can
that's
test them and everything.
sick.
So let's say you're like trying to build a perfect deck because what I play is the commander format. So basically, like how I showed you the Perry the Platypus one, that's my commander. So what you want to do, I know it's a little off topic, but I can like talk about this forever. So with that, you want to get cards that are gonna go well with that. So with
Right.
that one, it's called a counter deck, and then I have another deck that's Exile. So a lot of people hate that deck. I spent over $1,000 on that deck because of all the good cards that I put in that deck
Oh yeah.
to make people hate me. So that one I can end the game in 2 to 3 turns.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's
I can end.
crazy.
I can depending on the luck of what you draw because remember
Sure.
with Commander it's 100 cards, so it's gonna be 99. So every time you have to have 7 cards in your hand, and every time we call it upkeep. So we have to keep on drawing. If you don't have enough mana, which is the forest, plains, islands, and what's it called, and swamps, you're screwed. That's why my staple is 38 lands index. 38 lands, and then I speaking of things like how you said computer search, it helps you look for stuff. So I have a card in that deck that's called Demonic Tutor. That's what it's called. So
Yeah.
with that card, it lets you search your library for a creature or any type of card that you need. So with that card, I can look for the card that I need to end the game with, and that's why people hate me with that with that deck.
Yeah. Now, I feel like Magic and all these they need to run more promotions where like the only way you can get a card is by joining tournaments. Like that's why like
Yeah,
Pokemon, these tournaments are so crazy because if you get a first place trophy Pikachu, whatever, like that card is worth insane amounts of money.
yeah, I
You
know,
know,
man. I've been seeing stuff like that.
so
Even
that
like with the
Chinese,
Illustrator one too, the Illustrator card, the Illustrator
yeah,
Pikachu.
you had to like submit illustrations. There was Pokemon Snap too. There was ones where you got to take pictures of a Pokemon and
You know
submit
which
them.
one I want? I want the Charmander one. Like, I know the
Yeah.
Pikachu. There's a Pikachu one, but I think only a certain amount were made, and one recently sold like what, last year or 2 years ago, and that's the only one that's ever been like seen in broad daylight.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a pre-release Raichu that just got graded by PSA, which is crazy because they would not touch that card. They didn't know if it
Hmm.
was legit or not. There's only supposed to be like 10 copies apparently of that. But
Crap.
yeah, these like weird cards coming out. But my point is the Chinese Mew that came out because I
Hmm.
after I bought it, I kind of got like buyer's remorse. I'm like, did I screw up? Like, what's this card about?
Yeah.
And I started looking into it. There's a WeChat thing in China. WeChat, I guess, is big, but if you go and play tournaments, like if you actually play in local tournaments,
Hmm.
it would put you into the lottery pool. Like if you won those tournaments, then you got to get a chance to win that card. So I feel like they Pokemon Company should do more of that.
More of
Like
that stuff. Yeah, of course,
and
and I completely
Magic.
agree.
Magic started going this direction with like Final Fantasy and the
Oh, that
serialized
that
Chocobo.
set is so insane. I was
I
thinking
know.
of picking it up for $400. That's how much
Same.
it was costing. $400
It's
for the
8 now, isn't it?
I think, yeah, I think it's 8 or 9 for the collector's edition.
Yeah.
But it sucks because you only get 12. I mean, of course, the chase is a chocobo. You know, any of the neon colors, but the grand prize one for sure. The grand pull is the gold one, serialized, and I believe there's only 77 made.
Yeah.
And if you get the first one, well, like the first serialized one out of all 77, then
That
of
was
course
already
that's,
popped. That was
yeah, that
already
one already,
popped. Somebody already.
somebody got it, and that one I think is selling for a crazy amount.
Yeah.
And Magic knows what they're doing. Wizards of the Coast knows what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I wish they still had the Pokemon thing, man. Like, I feel like Nintendo should have stuck with them because remember that Magic, the Magic set for Lord of Rings when they had the
Oh
one
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
one
The
ring
one of
that
one
Post
with
Malone
post.
bought. Yeah,
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, dude. I bought so many of those so I could try to pull it. Never pulled it.
I was thinking about it too, and I saw how much. In fact, the Final Fantasy one got me thinking too. Like, but I just don't want to end up with a bunch of bulk. Like, I already am swimming in bulk, and I
Yeah.
know I'm not going to hit it because I'm not that lucky. So I just kind of passed on those. But sealed, like buying one of those sealed and keeping it sealed,
Oh,
probably a really good
yeah.
investment.
Even I think the Warhammer one too, and then there's one that's called Brothers War. I don't know if you heard that set. So that one has all the Transformers in that one. You can pull a rare Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. I had it non-hollow. I should have kept it, but I sold it because I was gonna build that one. But the Shattered Glass cost $400 to $500.
Yeah, even sports boxes, like a lot of sports cards, there's bounties on like
Yeah.
certain players and stuff. And there's situations where sealed box, like if the chase hasn't been hit, these like big rookies from like these Bowman University, like all the college people,
Hmm.
those boxes start going insane. And then the minute someone hits it and it goes all on social media, the whole market collapses for that set.
Yeah.
But like imagine if that Lord of the Rings still wasn't hit. Imagine what those boxes would be worth right now, right?
A
So
lot right now.
yeah, the serialized Chocobo was good to make like more than one serialized card that's a chase because 77 there's a high level probability like let's say 50 of them get found and the other 20 are kind of still out there or something, you know. So
Exactly. And they
hats
still
off to
haven't said
them,
how
like
many they gotten, right? It's still not out there. Like how many have got pulled.
and WotC with the first edition, right?
Hmm.
Like first edition, ever since Nintendo picked it up, I think it might have been like proprietary, like Wizards of the Coast thing that we have first edition. Like if you leave us, you can't use first edition anymore because since then they
Hmm.
have not had first edition, right?
Yeah, I've
So
noticed that it's just all just like
it's just
basically.
it is what it is, sort of thing
Yeah.
when they release it,
I just
right?
wish, hopefully one day, Wizards of the Coast just be like, hey, we'll like to do the art again. Because honestly, Skyridge was their last one, and I think they did an amazing job with Skyridge. I have no Skyridge cards, but the art from all the Wizards of the Coast that I've seen are amazing, man. The amazing
Yeah,
arts.
yeah. All right, well, we're going to jump in the page. I'm going to show some really interesting
Juicy
things
stuff.
here. Yeah, I'll give you a little sneak peek. I still haven't showed him. And then also some other interesting things that we're going to talk about. And also how I'm going to take a swing at fixing the indent on this card here, which is a little tricky because this is actually on the front. So I'm going to talk about some ideas I have for fixing that in the Patreon. If you're not in the Patreon, get in there. We're doing a giveaway. So sign up for 1 month and then get the chance to win this, and then dip if you don't like it. Use Pokemaster to save 10% on your first month. We're dropping episodes every week, Monday at 9 a.m. And we've got a bunch of cool things. It's a great community. So
yeah, we're answering everybody's questions, and it's fun because we get to communicate with everybody, and we get to communicate with each and every one of you. And we sometimes when late at night, sometimes we're like, hey, what's everybody working on? And they'll post what they're working on, and that's what I think is pretty cool. Because we're all doing what we love. We're all doing exactly learning. We're learning every day. We're learning how to do stuff together.
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody in the Patreon was talking about that, our first episode about the whitening thing, right?
Oh,
and
yeah,
one of them said, I'm going to go try and figure out what this AMPM Pokemon guy did. So he ordered the ink, right?
The same one that he used?
Yeah, he ordered that ink. In fact, he sent the card to the company to try to get them to match the paint. They sent the card back along with the paint, and it did not match. And he's like, I think what you did helps match it better, but it doesn't match the original, consistency of what this is. This is printer ink, right? So
yeah, of course.
What we were using wasn't the same. But anyway, it was just funny because he kind of, went on this little journey to kind of, take a look at that a little deeper. But it's nice to hear that it's not super easy. We don't like that stuff.
Yeah, of course. So many questions. Hey, sorry, video. You can fix whitening. I'm like, I'm not gonna touch that. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah. Sorry, it was a little bit of a clickbait kind of way for us to kind of get our feet wet here on YouTube. But thank you for everybody who's subscribed to YouTube. Share the YouTube. If you share the YouTube, DM me and I will hook you up with something. Okay? If you share the YouTube on your social media, send me the share and I'm gonna hook you up. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to hook you up with. I have a bunch of these Giovanni Coffee Boss promos, okay?
What? From where?
Japan's. Yeah, so they're these exclusive promos that, in fact, I'll show you what they originally come in here. They come in these little packets along with the coffee, of course.
Oh, hell yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of loose ones here. So if anybody shares our YouTube and says hey, I shared your YouTube channel or I shared your Patreon, I will send one of those to you for free. So just DM me on Instagram and I'll hook you up. Thanks for everyone that tuned in. Let's hop over to the page. What do you say, Sebastian?
Hell yeah, let's go and show the dirty stuff.
Yeah.
Gonna show. Let me just unbutton it real quick.
Oh no, save it for the page. Save it for the page.
No.